Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream for October 2024. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. The first thing that I want to say is this live stream gets spammed. So if somebody contacts you in the comments, I don't know who they are. Also, Golden Rose never contacts you on Facebook or any other way. We do have a mailing list that goes out once a month. Um, a lot of times people have impersonated Golden Rose, and you think you're talking to me and you're not. So we don't reach out from Facebook. So just please beware. So this month, we're going to take a peek at your higher self is going to tell you something about you that you don't already know. So, we'll see what comes of it, right? We never know what your higher self is going to say. Um, I always do this thing as soon as my healing master, Anki Yaya, picks the topic. He's standing behind me. That's why I'm pointing back here. Um, every time he tells me what the topic is, I always start to wonder, I wonder what it could be. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And usually it's none of those things. So there you go. The first thing is, hang on here. For some reason, I can't. There we go. Okay, so the first thing is maybe you would like to get a healing. And the my advanced clairvoyant students do free healings. Now, you don't get any communication back, but they will be working for your benefit behind the scenes, if you thought of it that way. Here's the link if you want. And you can do one for yourself, many for yourselves, for people you know. The only thing we need is the name and the healing request. We don't even take your email addresses, so we won't be contacting you. The other thing is, I don't know whether you know it or not, but every month there's new specials on my website. And there's some fun Halloween ones this time, so I'll post that if you want to pop over there at some point. I do this really fun Halloween reading where I look at a past life that well, first I get a message from your higher self. And then I look at one of the past lives that you're pulling information from right now. And we do that all the time, and without knowing it. And so one of those past lives that you're currently accessing from your Akashic records might make a great Halloween costume. It's called a Halloween past life reading. And you might think, well, what does past lives have to do with Halloween costumes? Well, in all likelihood, the things that you really wanted to be as a child for Halloween, you were those things in other lives. So, maybe you'll check out that. And there's some other specials over there too. Let's see what else I got for you. If you want more free content and you haven't signed up for our free zone yet, there's all kinds of meditations. You can get free readings from my students over there. There's all kinds of stuff. My old podcasts, everything. So if you're interested in that, there's that link. And hang on, I think I got actually two more. Golden Rose is hosting a virtual psychic fair for Halloween. And you and your friends can get a reading. It's on, I think, the 27th, Sunday the 27th. But if you click the link I just put, did I post it? Did it post? Hang on. Oh, man. Hang on just a second. Oh, wait a minute. Something's going on funky with my link. I don't know why it's doing that. Hang on, let me capture it again. It should be a sign-up link. This says it's my radio show. Silly. And man, I'm telling you, this computer, let me see if I can. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, there you go. Yes, now post. And then one more, and then I'll get to down to playing with you. Um, if you would you post a review? Let's see. If maybe I should say this, if you like your reading today, maybe you might review Golden Rose here. Okay, I'm done. Let's get to what we're going to do today. So, I'm going to ask your higher self to tell you something about yourself that you don't already know. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I always try to think what could this be? And one of the things that came up for me is, and I don't know if it will come up for any of you, but what will you be like when you're really old? You know, I'm 62 going on 63, and I feel that that's given me, well, a different perspective that I had in my 50s, 40s, 30s, certainly my 20s and my teens. But probably a lot of us know older people, and some people seem to blossom as they get older and older, and others the other way. So I'm really learning. I learned a lot from my grandmother as she got so old, and now I'm learning more from my parents as they're getting older. So, anyway, let's spin the Wheel of Fortune, and we'll get to what your higher self wants you to know that you don't know about yourself. Okay, Gary McDonald, you're first, my friend. I saw your question, and I'll tell you the reason I don't answer questions because you might not want all these strangers to hear the answer. So Uncle Yaya picks a topic every month, and that's what we go with. So it's fun and light and that kind of thing. So anyway, let me get plugged in here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see what your higher self wants to tell you that you don't. You don't breathe correctly. I don't know why I find that funny. I guess what it's saying is breath work. I remember reading somewhere that, well, of course, we're supposed to breathe into our diaphragms, and none of us do. And I wondered why. Why is it that the Homo sapien has to learn the correct way to breathe? That seems weird to me. It might be from being inside of our mothers and experiencing her breath. But what your higher self wants you to know, Gary, is breath work would really help you. And let me see how it would help you. Let's see. I think the kind of breath work I might do if I were you, if I could read myself this well, but I can't. Um, it's about, what do I want to say? Breathing in present time and exhaling the past. Because when I look at your energy field and I said, well, what's breath work supposed to do for you that you don't know? Your legs light up. And when I read legs, it's always a metaphor for forward movement. So there's all kinds of breath work. I mean, I've researched it. Some of them are quite complex where you stand on one leg, hold one nostril, face the full moon, right? I mean, they're really, really intense. But I think this might be a little bit easier than that, right? Like, I might suggest with your intention to take a deep breath and set your intention that you're pulling all the past out of your body chakras and aura, and then exhale and get it out. You're trapped in the past, and your higher self feels that breath work might be an easy way to stay in the moment. Okay, now we all do that, right? It's funny that I was talking about getting older, right? I do think that some of us get trapped in the past as we get older, and that's probably a pitfall of getting really old, elderly, right? My aunt tells me she doesn't like the word elderly. She prefers senior. Well, I'm a senior, Right? So, anyway, for you, Gary, it's really releasing the past, but your higher self thinks you can do that effectively by breath work. So, maybe do some research on breath work. Maybe that might help you get that new job you're looking for, too. I bet they're connected. Okay. Sue! Hello, my friend. Thanks for popping in. Hang on. Let me get reset. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see what your higher self wants you to know. It's about your foundation. I, the foundation that you live your life from. And what it wants you to know that you don't know is that it is building out, but it builds out brick by brick. Let me ask Uncle Yaya what that means. Let's see if he can say it a different way. There's also a lot of stuff that you don't need, and maybe you think you do need it as a foundation to move forward. I'll tell you what the image is. So it's like a cobblestone out in front of you, and it's not all the way formed, right? That's what I saw from your higher self. And when I asked Akiyaya to elaborate, what he showed was, if, let's say, the cobblestone is this big, right? And there's none over here. What he shows is, even though what you've got is this big and you're still building, as you go forward, it's just one brick in front of the other. It's not so wide. So it probably means that you don't have to exert that much effort as you have been exerting. Okay, so let me go back to your higher self, because I know there's more to that. Let's see what it says. It's about simplifying. And when I pull at that thread, I think it might be much easier than it's been in the past. I think the question to ask yourself is, what makes me happy? And just go with your happiness. And the reason I feel that that is different than the way you've been doing it before, because you didn't know, in the past, you didn't know what made you happy. Yeah, so you can trust your happiness gauge. Okay? This, instead of second guessing, well, why do I think that's going to make me happy? Is that really going to make me happy? Am I just fooling myself? All those questions that we ask ourselves. You can trust your happiness meter. And in the ideal world of Sue, every single day do what makes you happy and forget all the rest. All the rest is just building sideways instead of forward. Okay? See, I would have never thought these things. All right. So that's what I got for you, Sue. Thanks for popping in. Let's see if I can spin the Wheel of Fortune here. Tim. Hi, Tim. Thanks for popping in. Tim Davis. Okay, let me get reset. Hang on. I got to plug in. Okay. Okay, let's see what your higher self is going to say. You're going to go in a different direction. I'm assuming that is a big statement. Like, life purpose is going to change. When I look at your higher self over there on the astral, it's looking at me, and then it looks in a different direction. And when I ask it really quickly, well, what is that supposed to mean? I'll say it metaphysically. Your higher self's been writing contracts with one life purpose so far, and it's going to change life purpose. Now, when I hear myself say that, and I think about myself, boy, has my identity changed, right? I was an engineer, now I'm a psychic, right? So that's not something like, oh my God, your life's purpose has changed. I don't think it's that dramatic, although it sounded dramatic. Let's see if I can get more details. Okay, some of the stuff, how can I say this? Some of the stuff you've been doing, whether you're a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker, was for other people. And here, within this lifetime, you're going to go in a completely different direction. And so I was going with you down that direction. I wanted to see what it was. And it's what you, your higher self, really wants to experience, not what you've been told by other people that, you know, like for example, me. The reason I was an engineer is because my dad wanted me to be an engineer. I never wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be an archaeologist. So, let me talk to Anki Yaya. And like, I'm a very practical psychic. I'm like, well, how can that help you? Right? So that's what I'm going to ask him. Right? Let's see what he says. Don't be afraid. That's why you got this message. So, my higher self was really gentle with me. I was an engineer. I was 44 years old. And I mean, I liked what I did, but I didn't feel like a lot of people that it was the path of my heart or whatever you say. So I just saw this flyer at Whole Foods about a psychic institute. And I thought, well, that's strange, right? I think maybe I'll go and see what this is all about. I didn't know you can learn to be psychic, right? And of course, I went to the training and I became a professional psychic. Well, if I would have known when I looked at that flyer and I went to that first open house they had that I was going to leave engineering, I would have never went because I was too afraid. You don't change careers at 44, right? So your higher self might do that very same thing where it's not your intention, hey, I'm going to learn how to do ABC and I'm going to change my career from what it is to that. Right. And even if you do have that intention, what Anki Yaya said is still true. Don't be afraid. You will change direction. Okay. Let me see if I can see when, because I'm curious and see what your higher self says. About 4 years. 4 years. Change of direction in 4 years. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to leave your day job in 4 years, but you're going to be what I call picking up the breadcrumbs that lead to the new soul purpose. Okay, so I don't know if that helps you, but that's what your higher self wanted you to know. Okay, Valerie. Hi, my friend. And I just want to say again, if you came in late, this live stream or whatever you call it gets spammed. Okay, so if somebody contacts you in there saying they have a message for you, dearly person, whatever, I don't know who they are. Also, Golden Rose never contacts you. So if somebody hits you up from Facebook and it looks like Golden Rose, it is not. Okay? Okay, let's get to Valerie. Hang on, let me get replugged in. Okay. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. Valerie, what does your higher self want you to know that you don't already know about yourself? You're a cat. I saw a cat. I suppose what that means is that cat energy would really benefit you. And I don't know. I've got cats. I guess independence, luxury might be it. It's cat energy. So let's see what Anki Yaya has to say about that. Okay, the main thing about cat energy that would help you if you ran it is not worrying so much about what other people think. Kind of be your own aloof self. Okay, so that's when Ankiyaya interprets the image that your higher self showed of a cat. That's what it means. So, um, let's see if he can give you a healing. It's up here in your energy field. Excuse me, the energy that has to be removed, that has you concerned about what other people think about you. Let me just watch him for a second. Okay, so what it does, what he's doing, he's turning your awareness from looking outward to looking inward. So, let's see if I can translate that into something here on earth. Let's say somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, Valerie, you're too this and you're too that," right? But Ankiyaya, the healing that he's giving you, what that would do is shift your awareness from, you know, that person telling you how you are to what's wrong with that person. So I guess what I mean by shifting your awareness from other people to yourself, the rebound of that is you realize that what people are saying about you is really about them. There's like not a feedback loop, but close to it, right? Where somebody, I would say, throws energy at you, and instead of you reacting to it, as you start to look internally more and more, when another person's energy comes in, you're like, well, that's not me, that's not in here, that's over there. So that, I think that's interesting, but I know that's true. I absolutely know that's true. Of course, we can't always do that with everyone. Oh, see, this is one of the spammers I was talking about. So, yeah, they're not affiliated with Golden Rose. They're probably not even psychic. So, anyway, because I would think if they were psychic, they'd have their own live stream, but that's just the way my mind works. So, maybe you could try some energetic experiments, Valerie. And maybe, like, one day go out into the world and go, okay, I am going to be looking for things that people say to me about me and realize it's about them. And try to make that a goal, especially if you know you're going into a conflict discussion, right? So, but be a cat. They don't care. That's what I got. All right. Okay, Lynn Perlman. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for popping in. I sure do appreciate it. Okay, hang on. Let me get all plugged in here. Okay. 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 All right. So let's see what your higher self says. You can actually vibrate higher than you are right now. So let's talk about that. I was on this kick for a while. And just, vacuuming or sitting at a stoplight, I would tell myself, I want to get bigger. I want my aura to get like 2 inches bigger, side to side, front to back, and top to bottom. And I want to vibrate just a little bit higher. I want my baseline frequency to go up just a little bit higher. And I'll tell you, every time I did it, I felt better. Like I really could run, like 0.25% higher than I'm currently running. Oh, that does feel good. I would do that energetic experiment. Yeah. And if you really got into it, I do this with my advanced clairvoyant students where I'll say, okay, have your guides raise your vibration, let's say 3%, and then scoop out the lowest 3% of the gunk. And what that does, it just gradually starts to raise your baseline frequency. Right? Now that's if you really got into it. I would just start with, I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to go higher. How do I feel? And when I go back to your higher self and go, why are you saying that? Like, why is that the thing that it wants me to say? I think this. I think you've got a set of contracts that it's written that are at that little bump up in frequency. And by you bumping up, all of a sudden, all those potentialities, those possibilities are afforded you. Yeah. Because even though our higher self writes so many contracts, we will choose to live through the ones that match our frequency at any one given time. So bump it up. Not a lot. You don't have to go crazy. Just when you're, when you think of it, go, wait a minute, I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to go higher. Oh, yeah, kind of like that. Okay? That's what your higher self wants you to know that you didn't already know. All right. Tina. Tina B. In case there's another Tina here. Okay, hang on, let me get plugged back in. Let's see. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, let's see. Let me find your higher self. Your higher self. This is what it wants you to know that you don't already know, and it's about it. Your higher self is really fluid and floaty. And that would mean it's contracts, right? Because think of it this way. The only thing I care about my higher self, like I don't know what it does forever on the astral, which seems really super boring to me. The only thing I care about in relation to me is the contracts it's writing. So, Tina, when your higher self shows me it moving fluidly from side, not just side to side, but forward and side to side, that it's about your contracts, right? And it's purple. Sometimes I see color, sometimes I don't, right? Sometimes it's just a picture that I'm seeing of your higher self, but this has energy. It's purple. So the best way for you to navigate this kind of flow of contracts over here and then contracts over there is spiritually. Purple is a spiritual energy when I read. It's not emotional, it's not logical whatsoever. What it really means, metaphysically, is that when we're awake, we're connected to our guides and angels, we're connected to our higher self, and we're connected to the Supreme Being. So do those things. Whatever activities, whether it's meditating, walking in nature, taking a bath, whatever it is, the best way for you to live through the contracts that your particular higher self writes is through being spiritual. I almost feel this, that if you make a goal here on earth, I'm not so sure you would fulfill that goal, because your higher self flows over here and then it flows over here. It's not like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, goal achieved. So if you've been trying to live your life that way, or maybe at times you have, I don't think that's for you. Yeah. And let's just talk about goal setting for a moment, right? I feel this. I don't care, right, what my higher self contracts in for me. I don't care. The only thing I care about is that it's easy and I'm happy and I'm healthy, right? So I'll be, like I always say, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. Fine. I just want to live through those contracts gracefully, be happy and healthy. So I don't care, right? So, and I'll just talk a little bit more metaphysically about setting a goal. Let's say that you want to be an astronaut. Your parents were astronauts. You want to be an astronaut. And your higher self has written no contracts for you to be an astronaut. It's never going to. Can you imagine what your life is going to be like? So, because we don't know what those contracts are, the best thing to do is just go, higher self, today I'm going to follow the breadcrumbs, right? I'm going to trust that the contracts you're writing, that I can stay happy and healthy as I live through them, right? So like me telling, this is what I'm going to be when I grow up. It's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for unhappiness, frustration. So anyway, that's what I got for you. Flow. Okay. Tim, I got. Valerie, I got. Judith, I saw you sneak in here. Little Miss Judith. Okay, hang on. Let me get grounded. And just make sure everything's flowing. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. Okay, I know you know this, but you don't know the extent of it. You're a healer. So, let's say that your self-identity is a pie. You recognize yourself as a healer, half of a slice of pie, when you're really almost 7/8, maybe 6/8, which would be 3/4, a healer. Out of all of that energy, you see half a slice, where you're really 3/4 of the pie. So, I'm talking to Ankiyaya, and what he suggests is that you find ways to serve others that is not taxing on you. I'll tell you one way to do that is to send your guides and angels to help people. You're still the healer because you're telling them what to do, but you're not actually doing the healings. I remember during the pandemic, and this was early on, I would just light a little candle every day and tell Ankiyaya to go heal everyone who was coming to the planet and everyone who was leaving the planet. Now, I wasn't going to maternity wards delivering babies or going to hospice rooms where people are transitioning home, but Ankiyaya was. Okay? So that's the first thing I would do when we heard Ankiyaya say, find ways to serve people that doesn't expend your energy. I would start there. In the long term, if it were me and I got this reading, I would find a healing modality that really resonated with me and start doing it, even if I was doing it on a volunteer basis. Yeah. So anyway, your higher self thinks you don't know how much of a healer you really are. Okay. Mick. Hey, Mick. Hang on. Let me get plugged in. Okay, I'm ready. Excuse me. Let's see. Talk to your higher self. Okay. I think you do know this. I'll quiz your higher self in a minute, but it's about the growth you've gotten through conflict. Your higher self has been very strategic in its conflict contracts. You There are clauses, terms and conditions in them that really benefit you. Okay? So I guess to say it in English, the hardships you've gone through, right, have been and will continue to be beneficial to you moving forward. Okay? This is probably the wounded healer syndrome. I was talking to someone, and this is on a different topic, but I said, when people get hurt, abused, wounded, they usually react in one of two ways. They become the abuser, or they become the wounded healer. And maybe it's a progression, right? Maybe we even tack back and forth between those two, right? But I'm going to say this is kind of like Judas reading. You probably knew that, right? I mean, maybe you've said it to yourself to, like me, well, I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I wouldn't have been through all that hardship. But you don't realize the extent of it. And you can forgive your higher self. Now, that's one of the challenges, right, of being a wounded healer. Is again, you have two choices: be bitter and maybe an abuser yourself, or go, hey, you know, these things happen to me for a reason, and I'm going to heal from them, and I'm going to help other people heal from them. So that kind of boils down to trusting your higher self. I think of it this way: I choose to think that my higher self doesn't shoot me in the foot. I'll go even farther. Remember when I was talking about the frequency of contracts? The reason that I got my butt kicked so many times is because the frequency running inside of me didn't match those contracts. So to me, they were overwhelming. Another way of saying that is I didn't have the tools, either emotionally or mentally, to know how to navigate those situations. That might be another way of saying it a little bit more practically. So, your higher self just wants you to forgive it. And more as you move through this lifetime, those experiences will be of benefit to you and others. But I know you know that, but you don't know the extent of it. Okay, that's what I got for you. Okay. All right. CHLO. I'm not even going to try. I'm so terrible at pronouncing. Up until this point, I've been terrible at pronouncing words. Anyway, I don't think English was my last language at all. Anyway, hang on. Let me get regrounded. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see. Again, this isn't about you. It's about your higher self. That's so interesting. Anyway, the thing, what you don't know about your higher self is that it's learning. Sometimes we think our higher selves know everything, that they're omnipotent, but they're not. Higher selves know everything about themselves. But as they are raising their frequency on the astral plane by experimenting in earth planes, video games, virtual realities, they learn. So, for some reason, your higher self wants you to know that it's learning. And I think because of you, I might say it this way: those limbs that you've gone out on, right? Maybe putting yourself out there in uncomfortable situations, right? Really put, when you really push the envelope, those, that's what your higher self is learning from. Another way I might say that is you're effectively living through the contracts your higher self wants to experience so it can learn. That's interesting to me. It's almost like a thank you, right? When presented with an opportunity over here on the earth plane and you say yes, whether whatever comes of it, your higher self is learning. That is really interesting to me. So I guess if I could really answer the question, what your higher self wants you to know, as bold and courageous and brave as you are when you are, it really benefits your soul. I think I said it right that time. Okay, let's see. Jessica, did I read you yet, Jessica? No, Jessica Hartwick. Hi, my friend. Thanks for popping in. Okay, hang on. Let me get plugged in. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see. It's about your female line. Your higher self is talking about energies that jump over generations, like your maternal grandmother. That's what it's talking about. Let's see. Let me look at the higher selves of every other generation on your mother's side. They're all connected. I wonder why they do that. It's almost like a literal soul group, not like how we talk about soul groups on the earth, but a real group of souls on the astral. And what they do is they incarnate every other generation, and those in betweens get pulled into the group. It's like they're offering them to come into the group. So the soul group is expanding. I have never heard anything like that before. Now, not all of them do, though. So, in other words, your mother and your grandmother's mother may not become part of the group. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know why. But you know how chickens take their chicks under their wings? That's almost what it is. The soul group that you and your grandmother come from take other souls under their wing. So, you know, when I start to think about the earth plane, that could be a slippery slope. That mothers and daughters aren't at times aren't as closely as an alignment as other lines of incarnators might be. Yeah. So I don't know what you're going to do with that. Maybe if somebody told me that about mine, I might give my mom a break. I might try to give my mom a break. So that's what I got. Boy, I would have never thought of that one. So anyway, I hope that gives you some insight. Melissa, you thought you were going to sneak in and out without a reading, didn't you? All right, hang on. Let me get grounded. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. I'm fascinated by the course you teach about connection to higher self. I guess I should take it. Because that's what your higher self is talking about. And I think and I know you stumbled onto it with your own self healing, right? But this is really, really important. Um, Maybe you could, I'm not sure. I remember you saying it's easier to teach to Claire students than the general public, but maybe you'll post the link up there to it. Um, so, yes, your higher self is talking about really it's this a strobe coming at you from it, like this, right? I guess one thing that might mean is that it's not a steady stream, right? So don't, if it, if it resonates with you, don't get fussy. Maybe sometimes you feel really connected to your higher self, and then other times you're like, where'd you go? Right? So I'm sure it's not always going to be that way, but I feel what your higher self wants you to know about yourself that you don't know is that the connection between you and your higher self will wax and wane. I don't think it's like for years at a time. I don't think that. But you're still working to establish a direct pipeline. And of course, in teaching that course, it it will help you. Believe me, I know. After teaching the clairvoyant programs for 18 years, I know. So that's what it is. Lots of. Okay, let's see. Becky. Hi. Becky with two big red hearts. Okay, let me get plugged in. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. This reality is extremely dense for you. Now, your higher self could have commented on anything. Maybe you've been on the stream long enough to hear all the varieties of the communication from different higher selves. So they could, obviously they're going to talk about what they want to talk about. And your higher self wants you to know that this reality is much too dense for you. Now, I'm not going to go into this huge explanation of that. I'm just going to say this that your soul vibration is very difficult for it to run on the earth plane. And and what I'm trying to say is that's probably true for all of our higher selves, right? But the fact that Becky, your higher self wants to comment on that. Now, I call it soul sadness. Here on earth, we have soul sadness. It's like, oh God, why am I on this planet? I never want to come back. Look at all these animalistic people doing all these disgusting things like that, right? So for us, what I suggest is doing things that really keep your vibration high. Whatever that is, especially when you start to get down, whether that means isolating from people or some people, turning the TV off, getting out in nature. Your higher self wants you to know you're gonna have to do a lot of first aid. Put a lot of band-aids on to be comfortable in this reality. And I'm assuming it wants you to kind of put that at the forefront of your awareness. How am I feeling today? What is my frequency high enough for me? Right? Am I comfortable in my body, chakras, and aura? If I am not, I need to find an activity, whether it's meditating, swimming, whatever, getting in the ocean. Like, really pay attention to it. It should be your job one, or however they say that. Number one job, right? Is focusing on, am I in too dense of an environment? And if I am, how can I remedy it? Yeah. So I guess just don't suffer. Find ways, even if that means you need to get away from everybody for a while, on by yourself. Yeah. Okay, Kristen Rickard. I think I might have said that right. Okay, let me get plugged in. Okay. Okay, let me check out your higher self. I don't know what that means. Let me talk to Ankiyaya. Oh, okay. This is one of those pats on the back. I think we had one earlier, right? Your higher self wants you to know, and you may not know, it's very happy with you. I'm not sure what I'm seeing on my screen. Anyway, your higher self is like almost tipping its hat to you. That was the motion that I didn't understand. Like, I could see it was like nodding or bowing, right? I mean, that's what it was doing, but I didn't get that what it meant. Then he told me. I'm like, oh, okay. So you're doing well from your higher self's perspective. We were just talking about Melissa's course on higher self communication and connection. And we have to put it in context. This is our higher self's life, right? I'll say it this way. This is a video game, and your body, chakras, and aura are the avatar in the video game. And the player of the game is your higher self. So if you ever played a video game where the controller starts to go bad and your little avatar won't do what you want it to do, you know how frustrating that is? Well, for you, Kristen, your higher self says that you're a good avatar. You're doing well. It's enjoying the video game. It's succeeding at the video game. So you may not know that, but it wants you to know that. All right. Okay, let's see. I think I can do one more. Ben, hi. Okay, hang on, let me get plugged in. Okay, I'm ready. Let's see. Music. Music and rhythm. Okay, this is very important to you. And you might already know that, right? But you don't know the extent of it. Like when we were all angstful teenagers and boy, everybody listens to music, right? If you do listen to a lot of music, expand that into different genres, right? And when I pull at that thread, I even think some old stuff. And I don't think I mean classical music. And I mean like maybe native music, Aboriginal music. I mean old. also look into, okay, how am I going to say this? Like whale songs, maybe even where a musician has taken the sounds of whales or dolphins and embedded them into their composition. So you don't know the to what extent music and rhythms has on you. So explore more. And I got goosebumps all over my legs. When I get goosebumps, it's like an exclamation point. Okay? All right, friends. I think that's it. I got to do my day job. Remember, if you're being spammed, I do not know those people. Right. Also, Golden Rose never contacts you on Facebook. Never, ever, ever. So if something looks like Golden Rose, even with my picture on it, it is not me. And if you ever have concerns, email me, info@goldenrosepsychic.com. I am the only one that answers the emails. You can ask me, am I talking to you? No, you're not. All right, everybody. Until next month, we'll call that a healing.